What is going on, guys? Corrosive Bullet here, and today we're going to be going over blue and green for set 2 of Fusion World, Blazing Aura. The last time we did a video like this, we kind of touched upon blue and green just a little bit, but that was before a lot of the reveals started dropping, so a lot of it was just kind of speculation, kind of figuring out what these decks could potentially do, and now we have a bit more of an idea of what's going on. So let's, without further ado, let's kind of jump into it. If you guys want to see more breakdown videos like this, reveal videos like this, be sure to subscribe, like the video, and let's get the discussion going down in the comments. So, Blue's leader is going to be a Fusion Zamasu into a Corrupt Zamasu, which is pretty cool. On the front side, nothing crazy. 15k on attacking, he draws 1 card, and then when his life is 3 or less, you draw a card and flip over. Kind of similar to the Red Goku. The Red Goku, I think, awakens at 3 life as well. So we're seeing this become a bit more frequent in later sets. And I'm sure there's going to be maybe some leaders that awaken at 5, some that awaken at 2. Like that, there could always be more variety in terms of awakening conditions. But this isn't too crazy. When he awakens, he goes into 25,000, so he's on par strength-wise with Broly from set 1, which is kind of cool. I think giving blue an option that allows them to have a little bit more sustainability on the field is pretty good, considering that they're probably the weakest archetype out of all the other colors and all the other decks. So it's nice to see blue getting this kind of a treatment. The main ability, though, is interesting. So on Activate Main, you can activate this once per turn. You use 1 energy, you discard 1 card from your hand, and if your life is a 2 or less, you add the top card of your deck to your life. Now, we'll get into some of the other cards that were revealed so far, but this is probably the most open-ended, up for debate type leader that we have for next set. It's kind of hard to see how this ability is actually going to be used in the format. It's very risky for you to have to go down to 2 life and use an energy, discard a card to be able to pull into your life, because you're losing your draw effect, which is the biggest factor for blue, is always having draw. And then on top of that, though, like if you're setting, you have to on your defensive turn get yourself down to 2 life for this to really even matter. So unless you have like Self Awakeners to get you down to 2 on your turn, or you play extremely defensive, because the thing being is that a lot of players, especially with all the double strikes that are in the game currently, and will be coming too, usually once you're at 2 life, if people are going for the double strike play, they normally won't play anything until they can confirm they can get you to 2 life. So you kind of have to go on the super defensive to keep the life that you currently have. But at the same time, because of the ability, you want to get yourself down to 2. So again, the leader. I think the leader could be really good. I know a lot of people are very excited about it, but I think it's a little bit up in the air in terms of how good this guy's going to be. Let's go over some of the battle cards that got announced, and you'll kind of see what I mean when we kind of go over this. So, they announced Shin. We talked about this a little bit in the last reveal video. We didn't really touch on it a whole lot, just because it wasn't officially announced. Plus, we didn't know what the other cards were going to look like. But Shin is going to be a 5,000 power, 1 cost, 5k combo card. On play, look at the top 5 cards. Look at 5 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal 1 of them with Potara in the special traits, and then add it to your hand. Place the rest at the bottom of your deck in a random order. We have a bunch of other search cards like this. Gohan does this. The difference being between this and set 1 green 1-drop Gohan is that instead of relying on a special trait and a cost restriction, there seems to be no cost restriction here. So what's kind of cool about this is that we know that there's going to be other Potara cards that are coming out, and we know that the next card we're going to reveal is part of that Potara special trait. So it's really cool that depending on what else gets announced and revealed, that there's really no limitations in terms of what you can draw here. So if you build your blue deck around Potara, especially when you're playing the Zamasu leader, you can see a lot of search functionality with this card. Now, that said, I mean, this card isn't anything like crazy. It's no different than a lot of the other searchers. It's just got less restrictions. But using this guy as a searcher to build around the Zamasu leader is actually not bad. It's pretty good, especially with no restrictions. Speaking of Potara, we got Vegito, the first Vegito reveal. So he's 20k power, he's 2 cost, but he's got no combo power, which is pretty rough. The fact that he's only a 2 cost at 20k with no combo power is... I don't want to say it's abysmal, I don't want to say it's bad. It's just a matter of, like, why? Because we have a lot of other 2 cost 20k cards that have combo power, so why is this guy restrictive? I'm thinking they probably did it because of his ability. His ability is that when he gets KO'd, you choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 2 or less, and you place it at the bottom of its owner's deck. Now, placing cards into the deck as opposed to back to hand is a lot better, I think, in my opinion, when it comes to blue. The problem being, though, is that not only is this on KO, but this is also 2 or less. So in terms of viability, come mid-game, late game, you're probably not going to get much use out of that ability. And so I probably would have preferred it if it was maybe a bounce to hand instead with some combo power involved. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not crazy about this card personally. Now I think we'll probably see more Vegito cards being used and being introduced. I don't think this is the only Vegito we're gonna get. But it's a little upsetting and saddening that this is the Vegito that they decided to initially reveal first. I don't like the ability. I think he's rather meh. But I mean, 2k, 20k, 2 cost. I mean, that's not terrible. You can maybe get some use out of this guy. But we'll have to see what the rest of the set kind of looks like. Maybe there's some stuff that lets you play this guy for free. We'll have to see. And then the final blue card that we are aware of is the Zuno. Now, Zuno is a 5k power, 2 cost, 10k combo power card who's a blocker. I can already tell you right off the bat, this guy sucks. Now, I mean, his on-play effect isn't terrible. Look at the 3 cards from the top of your deck, and you can place them at the top or bottom of your deck in any order. Now, the ability is good. Being able to take a sneak peek at what is coming in your deck and being able to theory craft and decide, is any of the stuff that I'm looking at here going to be useful in the next couple turns? If not, I can throw that at the bottom of my deck. Is there something from the top 3 that I need, like, now versus later? Then I can rearrange it, put it on the top deck. It's a really good ability. But like I said, in a red matchup, this card sucks. In a red matchup, this card's going to suck big time. Yellow, this guy's going to get rested, and he's 5k power. You're not going to invest combo resources into this guy to defend him in any way. It's just, as a blocker, he sucks. He's not good. You could maybe get some use out of him with his on-play ability, but there will be other cards, I think, that will probably fit the niche a little bit better than what Zuno is able to kind of provide us. So now on the green. We now have confirmation. I know last video we talked about Cell has kind of been confirmed, and now he's been officially revealed. So now we know exactly what he's doing. So Cell is a 15k front side, draw 1 card. At 4 or less life, you draw a card and flip him over to Awaken. Standard. What kind of threw me off here, though, was I expected that the Cell would maybe be a crit leader, because green is the only deck that doesn't have, or the only archetype that doesn't have any, like, crit functionality in that regard. They don't have a crit leader at all. So it's a little disappointing that he's not a crit leader, but I mean, maybe because of how slightly overtuned green is currently, maybe they thought that maybe giving green a crit leader may be a little too much. But But I mean, that's neither here or there. Clearly he's not, so maybe down the line, maybe set 3, we'll see something for it. But then on his Awakened side, he is a 20k leader. He draws on attacking, and then activate main once per turn. If you have 5 energy, and specifically 5 energy, add up to 1 card with a cost of 3 or more from your drop to your energy. This is an interesting choice, because it goes to show that this cell is not going to heavily benefit from the current ramp meta that green is kind of subjected to at the moment. The fact that you want to run this guy at 5 energy tells me that he's going to be a bit more mid-range. You're going to maybe explode and ramp up to 8 energy once or twice at most, but you more or less are going to keep yourself at that ability and utilize that ability to kind of keep your energy going. Because if I'm understanding and reading this correctly, when a card comes from the drop to your energy, because there's no mention of that card going in rest, it basically refreshes an energy. So you get a free energy basically from this cell, which is very interesting. So again, it's going to really depend on what the rest of the deck is going to look like, what other support that green's going to be getting. But I think this is a very interesting choice for green, honestly. It doesn't necessarily make him better than the other green leaders out there, but it's definitely got a different type of functionality that I think green desperately needs, and it kind of sets this cell apart from some of the other green leaders. So then they announced, too, a new 6-drop Gohan. 35,000 power, 10,000 combo. And as a permanent, if you have Son Goku in your drop, this card gains double strike. Now, I've seen the discourse. I've seen a lot of people discussing that, oh, green didn't need another double striker. They already got the androids. Well, green's already doing so much. Well, honestly, I don't think this is something that we necessarily need to worry about. I think this Gohan, is given to us as more of a option. We already know that the set 1 6-drop Gohan is a card that allows you to rejuvenate your life and kind of give you a little bit of defensive stability in that regard. And I think this guy is just designed to be a option to run opposite of that. Do you want to play the 6-drop Life Gohan to play a bit more defensively when you need to? Do you want to play this Gohan to capitalize on a more aggressive playstyle? There's a bit of functionality here, and I think it's very telling what each particular Gohan is designed to do. And I don't think this is really all that game breaking, and I don't think there's really much that we need to worry about. The way that I kind of look at it, I talked about it in our deck profile for Gohan, that going into set 2, I don't know how good the 6-drop 16 is going to be. I think there's the possibility that 6-drop blocker 16 is going to potentially be moved out of the meta in any form or capacity. And so I don't see you getting a lot of use from him in that regard. So while he may still be used a little bit, and while he has another search option when it comes to these 6-drop Gohans, I think this guy being an option or a replacement rather than another addition to green, I don't think is the biggest deal. Now it'll be a matter of, I think it'll be more of a matter of, this is an uncommon card, and so how it's going to be very easy, I think, for a lot of people to pull this guy. So I think that might be more of where I have an issue with this card. But even then, like, if you throw enough money at the game, or you throw enough money into actual booster packs, like, it's not going to matter anyway. You're going to eventually grab a couple copies of this guy. Then we got this Spy Robot. And once again, you know, the community's up in arms. They look at this card and they're like, oh, let's give green more options. You know, you could just look at look at 3 cards in your opponent's hand and reveal them. Like, that's just OP. And under normal circumstances, I would agree. Under normal circumstances, I think being able to see what is in your opponent's hand, especially come late game, is very, very helpful, because it basically gives you an idea of what your opponent is going to do next. That being said, in terms of this particular card, I don't see that being an issue for a couple reasons. One, he's got the special trait Robot. There is nothing in the game currently that allows us to search for this guy. So you would have to be reliant on pulling him. Two, choosing 3 cards from your opponent's hand and revealing them. Where are you seeing this being played? You're probably not going to see this being played late game, because you're probably going to not want to waste your energy on playing this guy rather than some of the other late game plays you want to do in a green deck. This is more so maybe early turn 1, turn 2 usage, and while that can help you in terms of keeping your in terms of getting an idea of what your opponent's going to do, I think if you have a good understanding of the meta and you know what each archetype is able to do, that you basically don't necessarily need to have this card on play. You can kind of surmise that, oh, well, green is going to ramp, so the next couple turns, like, he's not going to really play much of anything, and he's just going to charge ramp. You know that like set 1 red is going to be dropping, extra card Roshis, and maybe a hit and stuff like that. Like, there's certain plays that early on most decks are going to kind of like go on curve with, and again, if you know what it is, like, the card's not going to help you. And then the third thing is that you got to take into account hand size. I think if you're down to your last turn and you want to play this guy on your last turn, and you know that your opponent only has 3 cards in hand, then yeah, you could see something in this that would actually be able to help you maybe secure game. But what are the odds of that happening? In a green matchup, in a mirror match, your opponent's probably going to have like 6, 7, 8 cards in hand come the end of the game. Potentially the same with blue. Blue is very hand abundant, so you necessarily aren't going to... I think the more cards that you have in hand, or your opponent has in hand, the less viable this card is, because 3 cards out of an 8-card hand only tells you less than half of the story of what's going on in their hand. So this card's not all that powerful. 10k combo is good. I think it might be beneficial to have 10k combo like this, but I don't know if it's necessarily something we got to worry about. What we can maybe worry about and think about is the Cell Jr. 15k power, 2 cost, 10k combo. Pretty strong, all things considered, for turn 2. He's got a permanent effect. If you have a Cell battle card with a cost of 8 or more in your battle area, you can use and play this card from your hand without paying its energy cost. And then on play, you can add 1 extra card from your drop to your hand. So, this tells us a couple things. 1, we know an 8 cost or more Cell is coming to the game. What that Cell's going to do, I do not know. Nobody knows. It has not been revealed what that is going to entail. 2, being able to play this card without spending cost is pretty crazy, considering that depending on what the Cell does, which I think a lot of people are kind of theorizing that the 8 cost Cell may do like some energy destruction of your own, like you would destroy some of your own energy, and that would make sense for the Cell leader, that you would want to stay around 5, maybe he destroys. Sorry about that. I was watching Dragon Ball in the background, so it just switched over to my phone. Anyway, depending on what this Cell does, being able to... Not only would you potentially be losing energy, if that's how he ends up working, but playing this guy without cost is actually really strong. And being able to get an extra card from your discard, you can pull Gigantic Meteor, you can pull Gigantic Meteor, you can pull Instant Kamehameha. There's a lot of extra cards in green that are really good in green, and having the ability to play that, because not only are you able to play this Cell Jr. for no cost, but then you can utilize one of those energies that you would have spent to play this guy to either ramp yourself up even more. You can play something else on the field. You can maybe swing with this guy and use Gigantic Meteor or Instant Kamehameha. However, there's some plays with this card that you could make. And I think it's very telling. Now, would you want to replace this in any of the currently existing green decks? Probably not. more than like, it seems to me like a lot of these cards are designed to work with the Cell, and the Gohan is specifically just an option and not an addition to anything. So far it seems to me like green has gotten some pretty tame stuff, all things considered. Blue still looks a little lacking, and it really is going to depend on what ends up getting released for the remainder of the set. Blue really lacks endgame potential, in my opinion, and so I think I can surmise that some of the endgame stuff that we will see will probably benefit blue in the long run. And then green, a lot of the stuff that's here are just options. They're additions to the already existing green meta, and I think that's good. I think that helps to balance out the archetypes and is able to keep green relevant without it becoming too powerful, while every other deck it gets bolstered up quite a bit. So that's going to do it so far for the green and blue reveals. We will, as more stuff kind of gets revealed, we'll talk more about it, but that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel for some more Dragon Ball Fusion World content, and yeah, let me know down in the comments what you guys think of what's been talked about so far. But until next time, guys, have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.